Hi there, I'm Dr. Bosh P. Jordan Jr., pastor and founder of Hope Alive Outreach. And we're here today, brand new year, 2022. That's right. And we are looking forward to great things. Our mission here is to give hope to persons who suffer from the disease of addiction, primarily drugs and alcohol. And I'm Dr. Bosh P. Jordan Jr., pastor and founder of Hope Alive Outreach. They call me the Hope Doctor. The Hope Doctor Speaks right now is on the air. We're on the air for on YouTube, TikTok, our website, Hope Alive Outreach. What else? Facebook. So tell your friends, your family members, anyone that you think has a problem with drugs or alcohol, or maybe somebody like you. We're glad to have you. Feel free to make your comments in the comment bar on your Facebook page or wherever you are. But what we want to do is not only do we want to have an exciting time, we want to educate some persons, and there may be some persons in our audience who maybe need to get into detox or get into treatment. You can give me a call at 443-250-9635. That's 443-250-9635. Or if you want to email me, you can email me at at Hope Alive Outreach. No, you can email me at Prophet Basha, PROPHET, Prophet Basha at AOL.com. Right there on your screen, Prophet Basha at AOL.com. What we do is we get people into treatment, get you into detox. Families, we also refer you to some places that can be of some help to you. If you'd like to donate to our cause, to our Hope Alive Outreach, we have 5 different ways in which you can donate. You can donate either through Cash App, through PayPal, through our website. Right there on the screen, we have those various different ways in which you can donate, because we are a nonprofit, a 501c3, and what we're doing is to giving hope to people. And so if you can help us to continue to bring this information to you and to do what we do, we would greatly appreciate it. And today we got some real exciting folk who are with us today. First of all, I want to introduce our co-host, Nicole. Where's Nicole? Nicole's coming on. There she is, smiling face. How you doing, Nicole?
Good. How are you?
All right. And you flew in from Tampa, St. Pete. Where'd you fly in from today?
St. Pete.
St. Petersburg. All right. And our other co-host is Clay. Clay, where'd you fly in from, Clay?
Good evening. I flew in from St. Petersburg, Florida.
From St. Pete. You're on the north side, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Are you from the north side, and Nicole is on the south side? And also we have as our guest, Jessica. Jessica's flying in from, where are you flying in from today, Jessica?
Prince George's County, Maryland.
PG County, Maryland. Wonderful, yeah. Wonderful. And we have another guest, Wayne. Where's Wayne? Wayne, where are you flying in from?
I'm flying in from outside of Baltimore, between Baltimore and Annapolis.
All right. So what's the name of that's Pasadena, is that right?
Pasadena, Maryland. Yes, sir.
Right there. You live right there on the water. And we're glad to have all of you all here today. We've got an exciting topic, why I surrendered.
Amen.
And all of us who are here are either in recovery or sobriety, and all of us have the same interest at heart, and that is staying clean, staying sober. And so what I want to do is I want to just go around and just have you to introduce yourselves. Tell just about one or 2 minutes. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. We're going to introduce our guests first, and let's start with Jessica.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jessica C., and I live in Prince George's County, Maryland. I am sober today, but it took a long time to get sober. I don't know exactly what I need to share, but let me tell you that I lost a career. I didn't lose a career. I gave my career away as a result of alcohol.
Okay.
And the rest. And that's one of the reasons why I surrendered.
Okay. All right. That's enough. That's enough. Just want you all to just briefly share something about yourself, and then we're gonna get more in depth a little later on. Come on, Wayne.
I'm Wayne. I'm a recovering addict in Narcotics Anonymous. I'm have 39 years clean in NA. I was a heroin addict. I really once surrendered out. My disease beat me into surrender. And God blessed me when I found Narcotics Anonymous and met you, Basha, and was able to turn my life around.
Okay, that's we call it White Wayne, and we're gonna get into that a little bit. Okay, and our co-host Nicole.
Hi there. My name's Nicole. I live in St. Pete, Florida. I am from the East Coast of Florida. I've been sober for 12 years now. I identify as an alcoholic. Professionally, I'm a journalist, and I have 2 boys.
All right, great, and you got a husband too.
I do.
Right, that's helpful. Don't forget about him. All right, and we got Clay. We're trying to get a wife for Clay, but I don't know if he's really ready for it because, Tell us a little bit about yourself, Clay.
My name is Clay. I am born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. I live down here in St. Petersburg, Florida. So I'm an implant. I have 18 years in a program, 12-step program. I am a mental health therapist and a substance abuse counselor. And what drove me into the program was 9 times in prison. And so I just can't use and be on the street. I just can't do it.
So in other words, every time you used, you ended up in the penitentiary.
Yeah, I didn't stop.
No,
I didn't stop.
Okay. Well, we're glad to have you and Nicole today as our co-host. And I'm Dr. Bosby Jordan Jr. And I used the drink or drug for 30 years, and I've been in recovery for the last 33 years, and doing what I'm doing now, outreach, giving hope to persons who suffer from the disease of addiction. Okay, now I want to just share with everybody what we're actually talking about, the question, why I surrendered. And that really is about step 1. Now we have something that we call our basic textbook. It's a blue and white book, basic textbook. And I want to just read a little something here. A sentence or two from step 1. Step 1, for those persons who are listening and may not know exactly what step 1 is. Step 1 says, we admitted we were powerless over our addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable. That's what it says in Narcotics Anonymous. And in AA, it says, admitted we were powerless over alcohol and our lives had become unmanageable. But now in the basic textbook of Narcotics Anonymous on page 19, it says, it doesn't matter how much or what we use. Staying clean has to come first. We realize that we cannot use drugs and live. When we admit our powerlessness and our inability to manage our own lives, we open the door to recovery. That's what it says about drugs. Now, in another book here, this book is entitled The 12 Steps Revisited by Ronald Ross and Macmillan and Hill. And it says, it starts off by quoting something in the big book, which is the basic textbook for Alcoholics Anonymous. It says, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Mm-hmm. It says, in directly treating or supervising the treatment of thousands of hospitalized alcoholics, we observed early on that 3 things or 3 processes had to be accomplished by our patients in order for the recovery process to succeed. Number 1, they had to self-diagnose, and we'll talk about that. Self-diagnose. Number 2, they had to assume responsibility for the treatment of their disease. And number 3, they had to learn how to use the program or steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, because this book is about helping alcoholics. Why I surrendered. I want to start with you, Wayne. Now we've been calling I've been calling you White Wayne for years, but how did you get that name, White Wayne?
Because I spent a lot of my using in West Baltimore, which is mainly African American back in the 60s and 70s. So, somebody would say, yeah, that white boy was there, that White Wayne was there. So it kind of stuck a little bit, and then I'm okay with it.
Okay.
When I first got clean, there was also a member of Narcotics Anonymous that was named Wayne. It was African American. So early members distinguished us as White Wayne and Black Wayne. So,
Okay.
whatever works.
All right. Well, I'm glad to have you listed as one of my friends, and glad to have you on the program today. The question I want to ask, put to our guests: when did you realize that you had a problem, Wayne?
Everybody around me realized before I did. And, I can really ring true to what Clay was saying. So, I used for maybe 15 years. There was always something really wrong with Wayne. I knew it. There was a hole in me that I could never fill. And when I found heroin, that was like the magical elixir. It fixed the hole. It made me okay with Wayne. And it's a feeling I had never had. So, it was a love affair. I chased it, and all the consequences of addiction came along with it. Mainly for me, and like Clay was saying, half the 15 years I used was spent in the Maryland Penitentiary. I'd get in, I hated it. I'd get out and I'd start drinking just to take the edge off. And even though alcohol doesn't fill the hole in Wayne, I would go right to get that heroin. And then once I got the heroin in me, I would do the same kind of crime, breaking and entering, stealing, whatever I needed to do to, get that bag of dope. And I ended up going back to prison. In 1981, I got burglary charges in 3 counties in Maryland. I had a plea agreement out in Howard County that if I pleaded guilty, that they wouldn't give me more than 10 years. I was 33 years old. And that's the best life had for me. I ended up in a treatment center that introduced me to Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, and it was no looking back. I found a home. I found, I found people that were just like me, that was feeling the same thing I was feeling. And, my addiction was really lonely at the end. I only hung with me. If I hung with somebody else, it was somebody's going to snitch on me, or I'm going to snitch on them, or it was just lonely. So to run into a group of Narcotics Anonymous addicts and run into, it was just what God needed to give me. It was my blessing.
So when did you really realize that you had a problem? Was it when you were going to jail, or was it when you were getting out, or when was it?
Well, at the end here, I got out of, my father bailed me out after 30 days. I got on a methadone program just so I didn't have to steal and get on any more charges. And, methadone isn't what fixed me, regardless if I'm on methadone or not. Heroin is what fixes me. So I have this thing inside of me that drives me, that the only way that I can feel okay with Wayne and fill that hole in me till Narcotics Anonymous was heroin. So, I think having those burglaries and I remember going to a social worker in that methadone program, and I wasn't trying to get more meth. I just threw my hands up. They called in the fellowship hitting the bottom, getting sick and tired of being sick and tired. I didn't know what any of that was till I got here, but I was sick and tired of my way, and it wasn't working. And I just was sick of going to prison.
Okay.
I got too many marriage proposals in prison.
Really? Okay, we'll let that ride for right now. Jessica, when did you realize that you had a problem? You have
Jessica,
to
you're
unmute
muted.
unmute yourself.
No, there should be a button under the screen.
Okay.
There, can you hear me now?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. I realized that I might have a drinking problem when, as a university professor, I failed to complete a final exam for my students.
Mm.
I am a clinical social worker, and I was teaching courses in social work at the University of South Florida there in St. Pete. And
What?
I had spent the night before the exam because it was the end of school and I was, celebrating the end of the semester. And I drank so much that when I realized I hadn't prepared the final exam, I said, I'll do it in the morning. I'll have enough time because the exam wasn't until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I must have slept until 11, which gave me 2 hours. Long story short, I made up 10 questions. It was the easiest exam. I knew I might have a problem.
Everybody passed.
Yeah, they did, but they had worked. I rationalized that they had worked really hard during the semester. They had done the assignments. It was a good group of students, good committed group of students, and they were going to pass anyway. So it was pro forma.
Right.
So that was the first inkling that I might have a problem.
Rationalization, justification.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Well, that just goes to show you that doesn't make any difference what your profession is or where you're from. The disease of addiction and alcoholism can strike anybody.
Amen.
Yes, indeed. I know that for a fact because there were many nights that I just barely made it in, to the pulpit to preach and tell everybody what a good God was. And I was just hoping and praying that nobody knew what I had been doing the night before. So you never know. You never know where people have come from.
Yeah.
So when we talk about surrendering, what was the last straw that really made you surrender? And Clay and Nicole, if you have some questions that you want to kick in there, that's fine. But the surrendering, the surrendering part. I remember what caused me to go into treatment was I was given an ultimatum. Yeah, I was given an ultimatum, and by the officials in the church. My goodness, and so therefore that decision to go into treatment wasn't too difficult for me to make. But what was it ultimately? What was it that made you surrender? Anybody can jump in there.
I pleaded guilty out in Howard County to 2 burglaries for 10 years. That was the best life had for me. I'd done a 5, I'd done 11, and that's the best I could come up with. And I was just done. And finally, fortunately enough, I was introduced to the Fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous, and got clean, stayed clean. 6 months later, I was delivered to that courtroom out in Howard County to plead guilty, and for those 10 years. And the judge right off the bat said, if you drop your plea agreement, I'm going to give you probation. And he did. He gave me 2 10-year sentences, ran it as 20 years. And he said 2 things to me that day. He said he thought I had a good chance of making it. And I have never had anyone in that kind of position say Wayne had a good chance of making it. I'm someone who has a lot of ability to manages to always mess things up. And he told me I was hanging out with the right people, which he was talking about the people right here on the screen, the people in AA and NA. I was blessed. God put me in front of a judge to plead in that probably has some experience with a 12-step fellowship and knew the power of a 12-step fellowship. he had all the reason in the world to send me back to the penitentiary with my record.
So Wayne, are you saying that you had been in jail for 6 months and no, that you had been on probation for 6 months, and during that 6 month period that you were involved in the 12-step program, and then you came back to court?
Yeah, I'd done 5 years. I'd done 11 years. I was working on the parole from the 11 years, and I got 3 more charges, by using, and the first charges I answered to were in Howard County, and 6 months prior to that, through a methadone program, I got into a treatment facility that introduced me to Narcotics Anonymous. I was detoxed in 4 days off of methadone. It's kind of like the present day, like Suboxone. And I started going to AA and NA meetings. And 6 months later, you guys took me to court with 6 months clean on the street. I could get some clean time when I was in prison, but I couldn't get any clean time on the street. And that judge just, blew me away when he said, I'm going to give you probation if you drop your plea agreement. And I walked out of that courtroom. He gave me back to you guys. He gave me 20 years, 2 10-year sentences run consecutively, 20 years. He suspended it, gave me probation, and he sent me right back to AA and NA and said, this is where you belong. This is what got you here. And if you stay there, and I've been here ever since. And, God willing, my wife doesn't kill me in the next 3 months, I'll celebrate 40 years in March. And my life is just, I couldn't get out of West Baltimore 40 years ago. And my wife and I have taken our children. We've been on every continent in the world, every continent, spent a week in Antarctica. So, the blessings that I've been received are just innumerable. It would take weeks just to list them all. But the best blessing, Dr. Basha, that I've received, most days I feel okay with Wayne being Wayne without putting a drug in me. And that's something I couldn't accomplish 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And for persons who are listening, seeing that I know you personally, Wayne, and have been to your house, been on your boat with you, been out, fellowship with you, and even talk to you about business. The fact that you started your own business and were very successful in that, that's indicative of what this program can accomplish. Nicole, did you want to say something?
No, I don't think so.
I thought I saw something in your face could I identify with that. Because
I can definitely identify with that, especially when Wayne said, most days I'm okay being Wayne. That was the biggest change for me from, drinking to sobriety, is that today, even on the hard days, I'm okay being me. And I was never okay with that before.
And the fact that you're a journalist.
Responses, Clay, how may I help you?
Yeah, you're a journalist, and the things that you're able to do in this city today, I think are indicative of the fact that you are in sobriety.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if I look back, if I look at the stuff that I've done, even in the past, 2-3 years, I got a master's degree in the middle of a pandemic. I'm raising 2 children that have never seen their mother drink. I'm the first woman that we know of in my family that has raised children that have not seen their mother drink. And then I've been in positions, like Basha was saying, in this city to help tell stories that need to be told and to be a part of a community in a way that I hope has some impact. And that's not possible unless I was sober.
Yes. Yeah. And Clay, the things that you're doing now, based upon your past, it kind of corresponds with what White Wayne was talking about, and being able to be in business and get married and visit every continent. That's Clay. Can you relate?
I can relate to mostly all of it. I've never been married, and I haven't even been to all the states yet, but but I can relate to the disease component. I just want to say for our viewers, that for most of us, there's a period of using, and it could be 10, 15, 20, 25 years of actively using. And what makes the disease of addiction or alcoholism is not what I use, how I use, or how much I use, but what happens to me when I use. When I use one, I seem to lose control, and I have an insatiable appetite that wants to feed my obsession and my compulsion. And as long as I'm feeding it, I am going to be okay. But as soon as that chemical, whatever it is, I stop and I start feeling the symptoms of withdrawal, then my attitude and my behavior becomes agitated and frustrated. And I will do some things to get some money so that I can continue to feed that disease. And what we're talking about is not so much the chemical, but the disease of addiction and alcoholism, which to me, and I have found in my experience, is spiritual in nature, because it's not the drugs or my behavior, but it's that something that's inside of me that makes it insatiable for me when I use a drink or a drug. So I just want to say that, for anybody out there listening, I don't have to use for a year or two and then say, well, I'm not as bad as those guys. They used for 25 years and they hit rock bottom. Let me just say this about the rock bottom component. You don't have to wait for every bone in my body to break before you address my broken arm. Early intervention is the best possibility for recovery. I always believe in early intervention. There's some false narratives going around that an addict or an alcoholic has to reach their bottom. I don't believe in that, and I don't subscribe to that. I believe that early intervention is the best remedy to reach sobriety and clean time. And so, I can identify with the whole panel.
And how would you, and for those persons who are listening, how would you relate, or how would you communicate to them the best way for early intervention? Maybe we have someone listening. He's from another country. I'm not sure exactly what country, but I'm going to ask him to just put up what country you're from. But what would you say to individuals who have a family member and they might be able to conduct an early intervention?
Well, I know here in Florida, in Pinellas County, we have 211, and that is a resource where I could call and let them know what's going on, and see what type of resources they have available.
Okay. All right.
And I know that you're going to put up some information.
Yes. We do have some information. My producer, Mrs. Jordan, will put that up on the screen. Some information for individuals who need some help. We have SAMHSA, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services. That telephone number is 1-800-662-4357. And any information that you see on the screen will be helpful to families and to loved ones. When we talk about surrender in step one, how have the steps affected your recovery, your sobriety, Jessica, especially step one?
Well, when I became sober, when I made the decision to get sober, I didn't know what the steps were. I'd enter a room called Alcoholics Anonymous, where other alcoholics would gather, and I would see something called the steps on the wall. And in some meetings, people would actually recite the steps together as a group before, at some point during the meeting. I attended a meeting in DC for a long time. Well, not for a long time, for 2 years of my first stint in AA. And I learned to recite the steps, but I really didn't know what they meant. It was just a matter of recitation for me. It wasn't until I surrendered and made a commitment to stay sober, because that was the problem. I could get sober, but I couldn't stay sober. I could get sober, but I couldn't stay sober, or I couldn't stay stopped, as we say in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. And so the first step, and I wrote in my big book that I happen to have here, that I could not and I did not succeed in surrendering until I made an admission of helplessness and my powerlessness over alcohol. When I came to understand that alcohol ruled my life, I didn't go do anything without alcohol. I woke up planning my day around alcohol. How soon I was going to get on the road, how long I was going to work, and then when I came home, what the evening was going to be like, and it always included alcohol. On the weekends, always included alcohol. Going to an art review, an art museum for a grand opening, always included alcohol. Everything in my life included alcohol. And when I reached my bottom, now I would disagree with Clay on this. I think everybody has a bottom. It's up to each of us individually to decide what that bottom is, because my bottom is not like your bottom's not like my bottom. But when I reached the point of being ashamed of who I am and losing control, giving up my control, my autonomy over my own life, I had hit my bottom. So when I entered the rooms of AA, I surrendered. I said, God, please help me, because nobody else could. I couldn't help myself. My daughter said, Mommy, why do you drink so much? I said, I'm a grown-ass woman. I can do what I want. And anytime anybody questioned me about drinking, I would get angry and just figured they were a bunch of losers anyway. So when I came into the rooms, I actually came running into the rooms looking for hope, which didn't exist anywhere else.
When you said you surrendered, you said that when you came in, you surrendered.
Absolutely. I said, I can't, God, but I know you can.
Okay.
I said, please help me. That's the prayer in AA. Please help me.
Would any of you here tonight say that you surrendered before you came in, or when you came in into recovery, when you came into your first meeting, that was your point of surrender? No.
I didn't know what surrender was. Okay. I was beaten into submission, and when I started following someone else's way and not mine, and I started surrendering to somebody that knew how to deal with their addiction more than I was able to. So that was my surrender. Going to a fellowship and participating in their suggestions.
Okay. Anybody else?
I had what was considered a high bottom, I guess. So when I got to AA, I did it basically to prove my mom wrong. So I didn't surrender immediately. I had to go through some steps, and it had to be shown to me how alcohol was directly related to all this stuff in my life that was going wrong before I could surrender.
Could you explain the process of you trying to show your mom that she was wrong? How were you going to show her she was wrong?
I was going to attend these couple of meetings and probably make a list of why I didn't belong in them and why, alcohol wasn't my problem. But she suggested maybe I try some meetings. And of course, I was 22. I was like, I'll go just to show you this is not for me.
So it sounds like your mom had some experience on both sides.
Yeah, my mom's been sober since 2004.
Wow. That shows it's a family disease,
Yeah.
and it can be family recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads me to ask the question: how has our disease affected our children? Because when you introduced yourself, Nicole, you said that your children had never seen you use alcohol.
Right.
But you also said that you were the only mother in your family who can say that.
Yeah, that's what we think. As far back as my mom actually pointed that out, because she didn't get sober until I was a senior in high school, and my grandmother drank forever, and her mom before her. So, how has it affected our children? I don't think my parents, because both my father is an addict and my mom is an alcoholic. So, I didn't grow up in a stable house. I grew up with a lot of chaos. And so at a very young age, I became the caretaker for my younger sister, the caretaker for myself, the emotional manager for my mother, all of these things that children shouldn't have to be doing. And so in a lot of ways, my childhood was stripped from me. And when I got older, drinking became the thing that I used, maladaptive coping mechanism, basically, that I used to just be okay and get through the day to day.
Was alcohol prevalent in your house where you could get to it? Did you start drinking? How did your mother's drinking and your father's drug addiction influence you as a child?
My dad left we left my father when I was 6. So he was a truck driver, and so he would be gone for long periods of time. And when he came home, all I remember was the DTs. He was, constantly DTing from cocaine and when I was a kid, and he was very violent. My mom, there was no alcohol in our house. She was a binge drinker. So she only drank every so often, which is how I drank. I only drank every so often. I could go a month or two without it. But when I did drink, it was really bad every single time. So I never saw her drink. In fact, when she told me that she had gotten sober, I had to take some time with it. I was like, what are you talking about? Because I didn't see it. All I saw was the after effects of my parents' use. So my mom, would be hungover, puking in her bathroom. My grandmother would be taking care of us. Those are the things that I saw. So I started drinking late by our standards, not until 16. And I didn't really get started until 19. And then I got sober early at 22. But that's because if I had gone much longer, because my disease progressed so quickly and with such power, I would have been dead.
Mm-hmm. The basic textbook of Narcotics Anonymous, under step 1, it says the physical aspect of our disease is the compulsive use of drugs, the inability to stop using once we have started. And I think that not only goes for drugs, but it goes for alcohol, even though we say in the fellowship of NA, alcohol, let's not be confused about this. Alcohol is a drug. And many people have been confused about this. I know I was confused about that because before I got clean in 1988, October of 1988, I stopped using drugs in September September the 5th of 1988, but I started drinking more, not knowing that alcohol was a drug. And the problem with drinking was, and I know that Nicole and Jessica can relate to this. The problem was that I was trying to drink enough so that I could get the same high that cocaine was giving me, but I lost control of my faculties. It's called being inebriated, or what's another word for it, Clay?
Smash.
Smash, or getting drunk. So alcohol definitely is a drug which can cause just as much devastation in our families as drugs.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because a couple of years ago, I wanted to celebrate my 65th birthday with my girlfriend sitting on a beach smoking weed in St. Pete. And, I convinced myself that that was okay, because that wouldn't violate my sobriety. I do have 10 years of sobriety currently. But then I understood, that would be a gateway to other substance use, or perhaps a relapse into alcohol use. So I'm glad to hear you say that any substance that you put into your body is a drug, any foreign substance.
Yeah, and one of the things that I want to throw out there right now, how many of us here have ever smoked cigarettes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nicole, you never smoked.
Yeah.
Clay, you never smoked.
I smoked, but I quit.
No, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about past.
We quit too.
I smoked cigarettes, but I quit like
Right.
17 years ago.
Okay.
So we quit too, but they
Yeah.
go hand in hand.
And
Mhm.
I know they have a program. I think Smokers Anonymous. Nicotine, cigarettes, smoking a pipe, cigars, nicotine. One of the things that I'm experiencing right now is I'm experiencing the aftermath or after effects of smoking cigarettes for 25 years. I had an artery in my heart that was clogged, 90% clogged, back in October, and I went into the emergency room, I went into the emergency room on a Thursday. On Friday, they did a catheterization, and the doctor told me that my artery on the left side of my heart was 90% blocked, and that I was a heart attack or a stroke waiting to happen. And when I went to my doctor and asked him about it, he said, "This is a direct result of you smoking and using and drinking for all those years." And so now, when I'm giving a message of hope to some young people, I talk about not only the effects of drugs per se, heroin, cocaine, etc., and alcohol, Jack Daniels, Richards, whatever. I also talk about cigarettes. We know what it does, but at the time that I was smoking for 25 years, I mean, even when they had the warning on the pack, the warning on the pack did not affect my smoking.
Absolutely not.
But now, to experience the trauma and the horror of feeling like an elephant is sitting on your chest and that you're going to die, that is a direct result of smoking. And then I was talking to my son the other day, and he was telling me, well, marijuana, the nicotine from marijuana is worse than cigarettes. I didn't know that. I don't know. But anyhow, I just thought I would just mention that. Yeah, and my wife has just reminded me, must have been about 2 months ago. I'm at the doctor's, and he said, I got to report some bad news for you. I said, what is that? He said, you've got emphysema. I said, emphysema?
Mm.
Dang.
I said, I quit smoking 27 years ago.
Hmm.
And he said, it's a direct result.
Hmm.
So, the Bible says you reap what you sow.
Hmm.
Doesn't say when you're going to reap it.
Hmm.
For those who just tuned in, we've got about 14 more minutes here, but I'm Dr. Basha P. Jordan Jr., pastor and founder of Hope Alive Outreach, and we're here to bring you a message of hope, especially to those persons who suffer from the disease of addiction, primarily drugs and alcohol. So if you want some help, you want some hope, you can give me a call. They call me the Hope Doctor. Call me at this telephone number, even though it's a Baltimore number. You can call me from it's a Maryland number, but you can call me from anywhere at 443-250-9635. That's 443-250-9635. Or if you want to email me, you can email me at Prophet, PROPHET, Prophet Basha at AOL.com. If you want to give a donation to our outreach, so we might continue to, our outreach is worldwide. We have someone who's on here right now. I don't know where he's from, but I had a gentleman contact me last month from Kenya. His name is Bishop Sammy. Somehow or another he saw us on Messenger, and we're trying to help him. But no matter who you are, no matter where you are, I want you to know there's some hope for you. Give us a call, write to us, give us a donation if you'd like to. We really would appreciate it so we can continue to grow here at Hope Alive Outreach. You can donate on Givelify to Hope Alive Outreach, or PayPal through Hope Alive Outreach, Cash App, the Hope Doctor, or you can write a check to Hope Alive Outreach. However you get it to us, it will definitely be used for the betterment of our society. Fast forwarding, all of us here have double digits in recovery or sobriety. There's some persons out there who are listening. They want to work. They want to be able to work step one. They want to be able to get clean. They want to be able to get sober, but they just can't do it. How can we help them? What can you say to help them? Clay?
Reach out. Reach out. Reach out in your local community.
Reaching out to whom?
In our county, it's 211. We have, we can go online to Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, look up their web addresses, their telephone numbers.
NA.org, AA.org.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And get connected.
Yeah. In Maryland, 211 is valid as well. And I'd like to say that I like to attend a women's meeting on Sunday at 4 p.m. So I'd like to give you the information, Dr. Jordan, and you can pass that on, another time.
Go ahead. You give it right now. My producer she'll take it down.
Okay.
I'll take it down.
The meeting ID number is 833-6915.
That's on Zoom.
It's a Zoom meeting.
Okay.
833-6915.
Okay.
6023. And the passcode is capital L, capital R, capital V, IRTUAL. So it's LR as in Laurel Recovery Virtual. It's a women's meeting every Sunday at 4 p.m. And there are women from all over the country. and all over the world who attend sometimes.
Okay, that's LRV,
Virtual.
like in Victor.
LRV. Those are uppercase, I believe.
LRV, and then what?
Virtual. VIRTUAL. LR virtual.
Okay, that's the password.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. All right. I'm going to read that back. That's a Zoom meeting Sunday, 4 p.m. for women, all
Yeah.
women.
Yes.
So Clay, White Wayne, we can't go to that meeting.
No, sorry.
Yeah.
Not unless it's an anniversary and you're invited.
All right. And the ID number is 833-6915-6023.
That's correct.
And that's Sunday at 4 p.m.
Amen.
Eastern time.
Eastern
Okay.
time. That's right.
All right. All right. We have some few people who are watching. If you have comments or you have questions, please lay it on us right now. If you have a concern, we've got about another 10 minutes. Now, what would you say was the toughest part of staying sober once you surrendered? What was the toughest part? Wayne?
Phew, that's a tough one. I had a lot of bad habits when I got clean. I had a lot of ways of Wayne getting in Wayne's way. And so to become the person I've today, it's been a really rocky road. I really put myself in some challenges and difficult situations. I just had to hang in there and not use. And I had a chance to grow and get better and learn from those mistakes. When I used, I never learned from any of my mistakes. So it was like growing up all over again.
Okay.
Most difficult thing, my sponsor, the person who worked with me when I first got sober, told me is that you only have to change one thing. And of course I said, what's that? She said, everything. And I said, well, what do you mean? She says, well, you're going to have to change the places you go, the people you hang out with, what you do when you're at home alone, what you do when you're out in public, and you're going to have to attend AA meetings. So I had a tough time because I had a drinking partner who is my best friend. And I had to walk away from her. She was angry with me, and we had a good blowout about that. But I was angry because I couldn't drink normally either. I went out with somebody. I promised to go out with somebody at New Year's Eve in St. Pete. And by then I was sober. This was, many years ago. And I really didn't want to go. And I sulked all night. People kept asking me to dance. And I no, I don't want to dance. I didn't want to be there. Plus, people were drinking all around me and having a good time. And I was absolutely miserable because I would not indulge in the same behavior. I'd made a commitment. And
you weren't drinking anything? You didn't get a Coke? You didn't get some lemonade, anything? Nothing?
I don't think I drank anything. It was too much of a temptation that I might have put something in it. I don't think I drank anything. I have since learned over time how to manage that, and I do enjoy going out. I still enjoy partying and dancing, but now, of course, I take what I'm going to drink, a non-alcoholic drink, and I take somebody who also doesn't drink, so that I have somebody to talk to, somebody to kibitz with, somebody to dance with, somebody to laugh at all the other people who are drunk and falling out and acting stupid.
Yes. Yeah. I found that it's important. It was important to change everything.
Yeah.
What's been your experience with that, Nicole?
Yeah, I had to change everything. I'm trying to think. I definitely had to change everything. Most importantly, because my world was pretty small anyway. I'm like an introvert and stuff. I didn't have a ton of friends and whatnot. But that was what I had to change first and foremost was my mindset about what life needed to look like. And the first thing that I learned was that I couldn't do it alone.
Yes.
We're human beings. We're not meant to do things alone. And a lot of us, when we come into the program, have this idea of hyper independence. We have to do it by ourselves. We have to, pull ourselves up and figure it out on our own. But the truth is that's just not even possible. I had to follow someone that understood where I was, had been there before, and had worked through it. So that was like the main thing that I had to change was my mindset and how I kind of went about life.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny because I'm coming up on 40 years clean time without a drink or drug. And they just say, and they said it in AA, if I hung around bars and I hung around people who are drinking, I'm going to drink. I'm a social animal.
Mhm.
If I go down and start hanging in West Baltimore on the drug corners, I'm going to end up doing a drug.
Right.
Well, the safest place for me to stay is what Nicole and Jessica just mentioned. I need to stay with people that are continuously not using. I married a woman out of Narcotics Anonymous. We've had a couple of kids. My whole social network is built in the fellowship of people that are not using alcohol or drugs, and it's a safe place for me to be me. My wife and I just celebrated 26 years, our wedding anniversary. We rented the top of the World Trade Center in Baltimore. We had 150 people, the men in tux, the women in full gowns. Everyone there was a member of Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. There was no liquor served. There was no liquor offered. The longer I stay clean, the more I have to lose. When we traveled to Africa a few years ago, it was easy to see that the predators get the people, to get the animals that are sick or weak or they're hanging outside the herd. I don't want my disease to get me. I stay right in the middle of the fellowship. It can pick somebody off on the outside. I stay right in the middle of this. Dr. Bosch, I have more to lose today than I ever had. And I have more to stay clean for today than I've ever had. So I just stay, it's my job, my responsibility to put Wayne in a safe place. And that's around people that aren't using.
Yes. Thank you so much. And as we come to the close of our broadcast, I'm going to give each person 60 seconds to answer this. If there's one thing that you could give to give some hope to persons who are listening, how they can surrender, what would it be? Jessica?
Oh my gosh. How do you surrender? Go to a meeting.
Okay.
Check it out. You have nothing to lose by doing so.
Right.
And the world to gain.
And you can find out where the meetings are by going on the website, aa.org or na.org.
Amen.
What? There's a meeting out there. Whatever your addiction is, there's a meeting out there for you. Okay, Wayne, one thing.
Pretty much that money clears it up. If you still want to use, use as long as you can till you can get sick of it. Try not to die. We're here for you to help you. We can only keep what we have when we give it away. But no one could force me to get clean till I was ready for it. So you have to be ready for it. If you're ready for it, there's plenty of help here. If you're not ready for it, I pray for your safety till you are ready for it. Good.
I just want everybody to know that Clay, Clay's on call. He's working from home, and that's the reason why he had to leave. Hopefully he'll be able to come back. But anyhow, and your words, how can you give some hope to somebody out there, Nicole?
The main thing that I want to say this time is if you have even this tiniest inclination that drinking or drugging isn't working for you, see if you can kind of lean into that and allow your mind to open a little bit to another idea or another way of living.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see Kim Davis is on it. Kim's from Baltimore. And this gentleman, I guess it's a gentleman. His name is Tabraya Hiba, something like that. He hasn't said anything, but anyhow, we'd love to find out where you are checking in from. Anyhow, thank you so much, Wayne, for being here with us. Thank you so much, Jessica, Nicole.
My pleasure.
And I'm Dr. Jordan. And remember, no matter what's going on with you today, there's hope for you. If you want to get some help and some hope, give me a call. 443-250-9635. Or you can email me at prophetbasha@aol.com. That's PROPHET BASHA@aol.com. It's right there on your screen. Don't be afraid. If you're not afraid or ashamed to go in a bar and drink, and you're not ashamed to go out on the street corner and cop, don't be ashamed and embarrassed to call me, because I'm here to give you some hope. They call me the Hope Doctor. And I'll tell you, like I used to say when I was in Baltimore, treat me like the dope man, only call me the Hope Man. I'm Dr. Jordan. And remember, no matter what's going on with you today, there is hope for you. Have a great day.